Hi all, my name is Andrew Blair White and I run a blog called Blair White's Blog on the internet. It's a little website where I put up articles on various sports, but majority of which are on horse racing. And as my friends know and the people who read the blog know, I usually give out tips for some of the big festivals like Cheltenham, Punchestown, Aintree, stuff like that. But instead of putting the tips just on a screen, you can read them off, I decided I'm going to start making kind of more video-based stuff to put across my tips. Because I feel it's just going to be better to watch, and maybe if you can hear my reasoning rather than just seeing them being put out, then you might be more convinced by my arguments. So I decided to do it now because obviously we've got the 2-day Leopardstown Racing Festival coming up on Saturday and Sunday, a phenomenal 2 days of Irish National Hunt racing, around 1.5 million's worth of prize money up for grabs, and pretty much all the top, well, a lot of the top horses coming from Ireland, all across Ireland to compete against each other, and a nice little teaser for Cheltenham next week, or next month even, I suppose. So in this video I'm going to just run through the Saturday card and see what I think about it, and then the next one will be obviously the Sunday card. So first of all, on the Saturday card we have the Nathaniel Lacey and Partners Solicitors Novice Hurdle over 2 miles 6. Now this was looking a one-horse race because it looked for all the world that Sam Crow was going to run, and if Sam Crow was going to run, he was going to win, because Sam Crow seems very much above average horse. But this morning, I'm here on Thursday afternoon, this morning Sam Crow was not declared. So it's a 7-runner field, Sam Crow is not in it, and instead Elliott relies on Dortmund Park, who actually is now, I think, taking over favouritism at around 2-1 on a few anti-post boards. It's not that much anti-post, it's only a day or two in advance. But probably every reason to, given the standard of this field left in beside him. A little disappointing on his first run for Gordon Elliott in December, came 6th in a 2-mile novice hurdle to Speak Easy. He was beaten around 15 lengths that day as a 2-1 second favourite. Wasn't really his running. Don't think he wants 2 miles either. I think he needed further, and that was shown. I think he won on New Year's Eve at Punchestown. So either New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. I think it's New Year's Eve. Same day as Calulta Vic won. He won a maiden hurdle over 2.5 miles quite nicely by around 3 lengths, and then he followed that up only a couple of weeks ago at Thurles with a 15-length win in a 2 mile 6 novice hurdle, beating Willie Mullins trained Burrows Saint. And that was in bottomless conditions, but he handled it really well, saw it to trip well, and has to have a good chance in this race, especially against some of the opposition. The opposition I'll run through. Fabulous Saga for Willie Mullins, probably his market rival. I think he's around 3-1. He just looks a door stayer, really. You know, he doesn't look to have too much versatility in him trip-wise. And I think actually coming down from 3 miles won't help this horse. He's won his last 2 over 3 miles, won by around 50 lengths, but that was in one of those races at Cork. I think they got cut up because of rain. And last time he rallied really well at Limerick over the Christmas festival to win the Grade 3 novice hurdle on the 29th, I think, from Delta Work and Burn Life. But Burn Life kind of threw it away, didn't stay the trip seemingly, and Fabulous Saga kind of picked back up and won. I think I'd oppose here today, not going to lie. Carter McKay is probably the unknown quantity. Ran last time out behind Get a Bird and was 3rd. That's not a bad run. You know, Get a Bird and Mengley Can ahead of him. You could certainly think of worse. Does he want 2 miles 6? He actually might. I think he's been campaigned over these 2-mile trips. I don't think he particularly is a 2-miler. Certainly will like soft ground. And he actually has probably an outside squeak. He's had 4-1, so you couldn't call him an outsider, but he has certainly a chance. And Dicey O'Reilly for Henry de Bromhead won nicely in a 2-mile 4-furlong maiden hurdle over the Leopardstown Christmas Festival. Bally Ward was back in 4th that day. He'd franked the form. Some Day is a good horse. He was 3rd. Mortal's a pretty good horse. He was 2nd. It looks not a bad maiden hurdle, and he's probably got a bit of an each-way chance at 7-1. For me, though, I actually will be sticking with Elliott, even though Sam Crow's not in there. I think Dortmund Park's probably the best horse in the race and will win, or will hopefully win, at around 2-1. So we then move on to the Dublin Chase, which is probably one of the most fascinating races of the festival, in only the second race, because it's the clash between Willie Mullen's stablemates York Hill and Min. Now, it still seems like the two of them are going to take each other on. I still wouldn't be surprised if one of them's a late casualty in the race, I must confess. York Hill seems to be the rage horse. He's in odds on some boards, but to be honest, I'd be putting up Min in this race. If he runs, I know he's 2-1 in York Hill's odds on, but I honestly think over 2 mile 1 furlong, Min has the edge. I don't think York Hill is a 2 mile horse. I think he's a 2.5 mile horse. If he was going to win a race at Cheltenham Festival this year, it will be the Ryanair, even if Undersow's there. I don't know whether he'd beat Undersow, but he'd have a chance. I don't think he'd win a champion chase. It doesn't look like he stays a Gold Cup trip. But I still think he's more of a stayer than a speed horse. I think Min is a pure 2 miler. Was a bit unlucky, I think. I don't think Simply Ned would have passed him. Actually, I know he probably had to, the race had to be awarded to Simply Ned because of the interference, but I don't think Simply Ned was going past. Min was perhaps a tad unlucky, and he actually battled very well considering how keen he was early on. And I fancy him to go here. I think 2-1 against York Hill's 8-11. Specialty hours in there. He'll light things up from the front, but I don't think he doesn't seem to be any sort of horse really away from Cheltenham these days. Probably the ground a little too soft as well. So I think Min's probably the one to be on there. But obviously York is a massive danger, and it'll be interesting to see between the two of them who can come out on top. And that moves us on to the Irish Oracle. So we quickly go back to Grade 1 company, and another clash, seemingly a 2-runner affair. There's 5 runners declared, and it's a pretty strong 5 runners to be fair, but it does seem to be between the top 2, Footpad and Petit Mouchoir. They had a couple of cracking battles over hurdles last year. Petit Mouchoir had Footpad's number, but Footpad has come back and been 2 from 2 over fences. Looks a stunning novice chaser, if I'm being honest. Petit Mouchoir looked good. He won a beginner's chase in October, but hasn't been seen since, and therefore the market is leaning with Footpad, and I think that's rightly so, because as much as Petit Mouchoir was the better hurdler, there wasn't that much in it, and I do think, just from the way it looks, Footpad is just such a good chaser, and already almost a better chaser than he was a hurdler. And I think Petit Mouchoir, he just got it to prove coming back from an absence. You'd like to see just a nice run from him, even if he was beaten a couple of lengths. Because I think he's a smashing horse, and he looked a good chaser on his sole start in October. But you have to side, I think, with Footpad here. I know he's at pretty prohibitive odds, I think around 8-13. But Footpad is the one for me in the Irish Oracle. Jumps them into submission. Petit Mouchoir will probably come in second, if I'm being honest. But there's any second nows in there. He was well beat by Footpad. Demi Sang, not so sure he's really up to it. And Tycoon Prince could run a nice enough race. He could come maybe third if you were looking for more of a kind of trifecta option. Then we move on to one of the big handicaps. The first of 2 big handicaps on the day, the Sandyford Handicap Chase, which has received a massive boost in prize money this year. It used to be, I wouldn't have said a small man's handicap chase, but it doesn't have the most illustrious roll of honour in its previous few years. Some nice enough horses in it this year. There seems to have been a big plunge given now the declarations for That's a Wrap. The Tom Mullins trained That's a Wrap, owned by JP McManus, won some tidy handicap hurdles last year and looks to be just set out for this sort of thing. I thought he might run in the 2-mile handicap chase on Stephen's Day. Wasn't entered. I was a bit disappointed because I thought he might have a chance in that. Had 3 okay runs in beginners chases, but is obviously a handicap horse. He comes in off a featherweight. Mark Enright rides, I think. And I just know with Tom Mullins he can do this. He can plot these horses. He did it with Spider Webb over Christmas. Looked to have no chance on form figures. Won by 7 lengths or something on the 29th. He's got a massive chance. Do you want to take 6-1 in a massive handicap, in a 20-runner handicap chase at Leopardstown? Perhaps not. Therefore, we look at more value options, and I'm using that 2 mile race on Stephen's Day as the basis for my other options, which are Bellamy de Sivla and Blastercumen. Blastercumen has a £2 swing for being beaten around 3 or 4 lengths by Bellamy de Sivla. Bellamy de Sivla was second, Blastercumen third in that race. Blastercumen is around 8 to 1. I think Bellamy de Sivla is 12 to 1. Both evenly matched on form, though, and I think both of them will run pretty good races, considering, again, even though Bellamy de Sivla is, conceding another £2 to Blastercumen, they're still running off lovely racing weights. Bellamy, I think, off 10 stone 5, and Blastercumen off 10 stone. Shouldn't be much excuses. That's a Rap is even more chucked in. I think he's off 9.8 or 9.10 maybe. So, they're all down near the bottom of the handicap and should all run pretty big races. Then we've the Irish Champion Hurdle. Faugheen, will he run, will he win, or will he get pulled up? My answer, he will run, he will hack up. Wins by, I'll say, 8 lengths. Mellon in second, Defi de Soy, can't have him. If you want actually one perhaps for each way value, I would say Bapome ran a great race over Christmas, over 3 miles. I don't think he particularly stays 3 miles as well, but ran well for the majority. But can't see past Faugheen. Surely, if he's at his best, he beats Mellon every day of the week. 5 to 4, nap of the day. The Coral Hurdle after that. Oh, absolute minefield. 30 runners, 2 mile hurdle. Like, handicap. It's trying to pick a winner at this is almost impossible. There seems to be big money on Mind's Eye and a Charles Burns horse called Off You Go, I think, who's right at the foot of the handicap. He's number 29 of 30. This, I don't really have many major fancies. It's more kind of stab in the dark stuff. McKeiterix is coming back from campaigning in kind of grade 1 novice hurdles, potentially not badly treated. He's in of pretty low weight. Blueberry was a very good novice hurdler for Mullins last year. He comes into handicap territory. Wasn't a good jumper though last year, so probably would stay against him, also on seasonal reappearance. Midnight Stroll ran a good race at Christmas to come fourth, having won twice beforehand. Robert Tyner trains him. He's got a good chance. Could be nice enough, handicapped. And the one I have maybe as a proper each way go is Master of Irony, coming over from the John Quinn yard over in England. Ran last time out fourth in the Jerry Fielden hurdle at Newbury behind Highbridge. Was finishing fast that day to come fourth of 8. Has potentially a squeak each way at 20-25 to 1. And finally, the Saturday card concludes with the Grade 2 bumper. It's like there's so many very good, promising bumper horses in it. Obviously, I think there'll be a lot of attraction to Rapid Escape, the Elliott horse. I'm not so sure. He could well win by half the track. Who knows? But I think there's too many other good horses to think that he's going to just win as he likes. So therefore, I'm siding. I've got 2 horses that I'd side with. Manila Encore for Willie Mullins. He's got 2 running in it, I think, Manila Encore and Black Bow, both of which won at Christmas, one on Stephen's Day, one on the 29th. I think Manila Encore's win was more impressive. From the front, did it really... Well, Black Bow did it from the front as well. But Manila Encore had the Gunnar Murphy and I think it's Daily Tiger well in behind. As for Black Bow, had the Holy One, who was kind of let down the form with his maiden hurdle run the other day. I think he's the better one of the Mullins horses. Holographic obviously doesn't run. And then Brace Yourself for No Mead, won by 26 lengths, I think, at Down Royal over Christmas. And also I feel just a bit of an affiliation. No Mead was standing right beside me at the Cheltenham sales ring when he bought Brace Yourself for 160 grand. Obviously thinks highly of him. And Nina Carberry rides, choosing him over Village Mystic, which is obviously a plus for the No Mead team. He seems to be their number 1, and hopefully he has a chance. So there are my tips for the first day of the Dublin Racing Festival. Hope you guys enjoyed that the video representation of the tips rather than just reading them off. Sundays will come out soon enough as well. Hope you guys enjoyed.